welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss. Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through, but it's just gonna solidify everything within those.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Raids keep coming through. Lore is gonna be able to find these shots true.
Inu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Adelaide immediately to back that fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. The playoffs continue here tonight in our NA. I believe it is going to be the Diamond tier here tonight between Death Blossom and the BGSU Falcons. Megalas, it is strangely enough our very first cast together of the season. I'm very happy about that. Are you happy to get this game rolling?
Of course. I'm not gonna lie. I got thrown off by that little screen cap that we came in on because it was old Coliseo without the staircase there. That's been changed for months. That threw me off so hard to see Coliseo without the staircase there. But like you said, it's the first time we get to be on the mic together this season, and it is a treat of a match. Hopefully, here in the NA Diamond, we're still in the early rounds, round 1 upper bracket. You have that extra lifeline should you lose here, but you don't want to. Death Blossom going up against BGSU Falcons, and if I'm not mistaken, Death Blossom did get to pick their opponent here, so the Falcons probably going to be feeling a little bit of pressure on that one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something that you and I kind of talked about at the end of the mid-season tournament when we were, talking about the results and stuff like that, or it was either then or when we were doing our preds, right? We kind of thought that the Diamond tier was going to come down to a bit of a top 3 scenario, like either of any of the top 3 teams in the league are, probably far and away, above everybody else. I mean, right now the standings, we've got, first off, we've got the bracket, of course, Death Blossom, BGSU down there in W7, going up here against the winner of Lunar Eclipse. Will the winner of this match, Death Blossom, sitting at our number 3 seed. So, yeah, they did get to pick their opponents here, 8-team bracket. So a little bit bigger than some of the, other leagues. But, you're looking at the Eclipse teams, Death Blossom, and Cuddle Puddle. And, I mean, all 4 of them, you see, on the top of their games. Each of them got a, well, I guess with the exception of Cuddle Puddle, they didn't get to pick, but these 4 teams are generally going to be considered the favorites, right? I mean, and it's not particularly close. You'd like to see some close stuff, especially here though in the beginning stages of the bracket in upper round 1. You're probably going to be looking at some games with some wider margins.
Yeah, I mean, that's generally the thought process, right? It is going to have to be sort of on one of these lower seeded teams to sort of bring it to the table and give a chance for that upset. That being said, though, Death Blossoms, they did just experience a loss rather recently, their first loss of the regular season at the end, week 8, going 3-2 against Solar Eclipse, could not get that job done. So who knows, maybe try to take some notes from that matchup, see how it went down, see what you can learn about it in terms of the weaknesses of Death Blossom now that they've been proven mortal. Granted, it was at the hands of another one of these top tier teams, but you have that opportunity now to sort of learn and maybe try to replicate some level of that success. Otherwise, like you said, that lower bracket is looming. More than likely going to be somebody from probably going to be Emmy Abyssal, who they're ending up against there, but only time will tell, as we are just simply waiting to see how this matchup has to shake out first.
And I mean, we are getting to our band stages, and unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of like super deep insight into these teams, right? So it's kind of going to be a surprise to me as to what we are planning, because we do, I believe, know what our trying to find the map pool. Do we know the first map? I'm not sure, but we do know the first band. It's Junker Queen. So I don't think we've really gained a whole lot of information out of that band. Junker Queen not, at the top of her game. But regardless, probably just Death Blossom feeling out their opponent. We do know where our first map is going to take us, though, Mega. It's going to be Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and I feel like Lijiang, combined with what I know about Diamond Tier, which is that they love these brawl compositions. So the Junker Queen band makes complete sense, right? It forces them into a more specific style of brawl. Now Falcon's going to come out with a Pharah band, potentially eliminating some high flyers in the sky that could create chaos, simply making a little bit more of a grounded engagement, to say the least here. And this will be an interesting, I feel like this is going to be a very even matchup, right? If I were to, lob a guess at the dartboard here, I'd be expecting Ramattra compositions, either Lucio or Junos to speed them around, and then some sort of combination of probably, I'd say, like, maybe Cassidy Genji. Maybe you could roll in with, like, Mei if you're still feeling frisky about it. But it really is time will tell, rather. My words have left me today, but what is not leaving us is this Death Blossom roster. They're here, they're on your screen, looking great. JML, Deadeye, Daddyoko, or Daddyok, Wabi Sabi, and Rai. I mean, again, you got a 7-1 record. You got, just these top tier teams are able to take you down in Game 5 situations. You should have a lot of confidence behind yourself for Death Blossoms.
Yeah, I mean, this team has had an absolutely incredible season. Now it's going to be up to the opponents on the other side of this bracket to take it to them here in the first round. BGSU, fresh Mr. Joker on the DPS, Fatal Turtle on the tank, and then Kira Wolf and Jimbo in that backline. Not a poor season themselves, basically right at the middle of the pack at 4-4. BGSU is, it's a collegiate team. These players have known each other for, some time, right? So if you're going to start somewhere to make, to punch up as hard as you would be into Death Blossom, you've got to start somewhere. And I think that you've got to rely on the trust that you have in your teammates from your school to get this game in the books.
Most certainly, right? And I mean, building that level of synergy, it's a point that I will argue time and time again. Synergy can make up for, those potential SR differences, those skills differences you might see in some opponents. It really can be the difference depending on the level of, reliance that some teams have on mechanical plays versus that team synergy, that team talking. But, at the end of the day, it is going to be on Falcons to do a bit of punching up here. Otherwise, they could end up in the lower bracket. Now, looking forward to map number 1. Like we said, it is Lijiang, and it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be a fun one, just because, again, we're going to get the first impressions of what these teams maybe have been cooking up for the playoffs, whether it's going to be standard brawl like I'm expecting, or maybe, somebody's been doing a little bit of chef skills in the kitchen. Maybe we come out to Night Market or Garden, we see some of the Wrecking Ball comps that some teams have been preferring. It really just kind of, again, comes down to the hero pools. When you're down in these lower tiers, you're not necessarily confined to whatever's meta at the time. If somebody's really damn good at something, they can just sort of pilot that all the way.
And speaking of it being the diamond tier, I think it's worth noting that Rush is very popular, just in, like, not, obviously it's popular in the grand scope of Overwatch, but when it comes to, Diamond Master tier, where, you're not confined to that hard meta or you get punished, right? You're way more likely to see, like, a Reinhardt or, Ramatra's good right now, but I digress about that. There's so many things that you wouldn't see in the, higher open ranks that you will see at some point if you're in this diamond tier. Mauga is not in a particularly strong spot right now, but I've seen Mauga come in and have some level of success in diamond, right? So it wouldn't surprise me to see something quirky, especially with it being Lijiang Tower. I would probably put, $5 on the fact that we're going to see a Reinhardt at some point during this map. But it's going to be... Okay, spawns aren't open yet. This is creative.
Hey, listen, all I'm saying is that $5 can gladly be deposited in my PayPal when there's no Reinhardt. But yeah, like you said, a little bit of creativity. Yeah.
Listen, I said we'll see a Reinhardt at some point. Okay.
Yeah, sure, buddy. Anyway, we have what I've been calling the double pull. Nobody's switching. It's just one pull is healing, one pull is damage when you have the hog hook actually coming out of spawn in play. Like we said, Death Blossom piloting a little bit of an unorthodox comp. Meanwhile, Falcons on something you'd see a little more standard. This is a sort of poke version of Brawl where you have the Orisa to sort of play the distance here. Getting hooked in is not a good way to start, though.
Has to use those cooldowns to stay in the fight. Luckily, dodging that second hook is Fatal Turtle, as the rest of Death Blossom jockeys around. And another blocked hook there, as OKC is not, finding much after that first initial hook. And the disruptive shot, actually, as Fresh is just completely looking somewhere else. JML walks right into it, and that first flip is going to be very, very simple for BGSU.
And again, they don't really have to do anything fancy. Like, yeah, you got caught off by that hog hook at the start there, but you're an Orisa. You're going to be able to tank that. You just get back into the point. You simply wait that one out. Death Blossom's comp doesn't really have the ability to force them out. And yeah, Death Blossom realizing maybe they can't troll as hard as they would expect to against an opponent like this. They actually have to show up with something to the table. They're now going to be looking for engagements off of their ball slam. You're going to have to make sure your Tracer's in place or your Sojourn has a perfectly timed rail to follow up there. But that does require a certain level of synergy that we don't know if these players have.
Yeah, Fresh, the first casualty in this fight. A nice little slam down there onto Mr. Joker. Trying to avoid or find some kind of environmental disruption there as the slam comes down. JML at the front assisting with these kills from the main lobby. Cassidy in now from Fresh, but as they return from spawn, somehow able to find one, but the deaths way too much to overcome. Fresh finds a second, and this fight just got very interesting. Okay, Fatal Turtle did invest that Terra Surge, but won't find a whole lot, as there is actually more assistance coming in. They are milking this time for everything that it is worth. They are past the 80% mark. Mr. Joker on the Reaper, gonna TP back out towards the coast. Very scary place to be if you're against a Wrecking Ball, but not for Mr. Joker. 90% and counting for BGSU as the Coalescence is thrown out and completed, and that minefield is all shoved into one spot. The fade on the Pulse Bomb avoids everything, and BGSU weather the storm, ignore everything. that Death Blossom has to throw at them, and it looks like they're gonna take round number 1, Mega.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, unless there's another miracle touch to come through, sure, you're seeing these little stagger touches come in one after another, but that's gonna be the end of it right there. And Death Blossom, you know, I was going to say that fight, as it was getting, you know, very dicey, it was assumed to be lost for the side of Falcons, right? They were sort of overcommitting onto the Wrecking Ball when, you know, no offense to the Wrecking Ball here, no offense to Daddy OKC, you know, there was not a lot of value being generated by the ball. Like, we saw it, right? There were no fired up charges. There were no slams coming through that were of vital importance. It was just sort of a ball rolling around and just getting attention thrown at it. Once Falcons were able to realize, hey, listen, the Wrecking Ball doesn't have to be our priority. Let's start removing these other threats from the fight, like you saw Fresh do on that Cassidy there. It can really open it up. And so now Falcons have the first blow in this map, but obviously they're still going to have a ways to go before they can really say that they've got a map and they've maybe figured out what Death Blossoms is throwing at them.
All right, going to be a very similar comp. Fresh back on the Sojourn, however. And Death Blossom only switching over to the Junkrat for JML. We will see as the spam from JML comes through. They're trying to take care of Daddy OKC, who is just spinning to win on the objective, almost knocking Fresh off the map, but the Sojourn very happy to just ignore that Wrecking Ball. They see the low players in the backline getting the healing from their supports as the spin to win continues. OKC going to slam down, landing that ante on to Mr. Joker, who has to use the Wraith form to get away. Got free. Daddy OKC still spinning. No deaths yet in this fight. Fresh looking for someone to shoot at, but nobody's really showing their face.
No, not really. And again, it's just a chaotic fight, but finally a pick comes through.
Yeah, and without Daddy OKC in there, there's really not going to be a fight for Death Blossom.
Again, you know, this Wrecking Ball, it's doing a great job at generating space. There were one or two slams in there that looked mighty powerful, but the follow-up wasn't there from the rest of the team. That's the sort of issue when you're playing Wrecking Ball, right? It can feel like a very solo tank. You have to be calming and sort of letting your team know when you're engaging because they have to be able to follow up. You're not enough damage on your own to secure some of these kills.
Yeah, that's unfortunate as Daddy OKC claims that kill onto Jimbo, who was under some great pressure by Deadeye. Now it's just the cleanup here for the side of Death Blossom as Fatal Turtle gets them across 35.
Now we have some good ultimates coming up for both sides here, right? Death Blossom already at both support ultimates. That Sound Barrier for Sustain and the Nano Boost honestly could go on to just about anybody, right? There's not really a very overpowered nano target that you normally expect. Meanwhile, Falcons on the other side have a Coalescence for healing or damage, whatever is called for. But they can't do it with Fresh.
Well, there's a little bit of everything there. The Terra Surge claiming one, while the Pulse Bomb of Deadeye does not land. Trying to get through this minefield. Fatal Turtle getting healed up. Need to be able to keep Mr. Joker in that... Oh, that Blink Punch barely affording Mr. Joker a little bit longer in this fight. But without Fatal Turtle, there's not really going to be much of a fight anymore.
Yeah, and Death Blossom are able to hold on there, you know, weathering the storm, having to expend a few ultimates of their own. They still have this Nano Boost and a Deadeye from JML whenever this goes forward. But look at this, Cassidy's just overextending.
Wow. Yeah, JML goes down early here. Mr. Joker is taken out in trade, though. Not really sure, like, what the idea is. Okay, Fresh going to come up and meet with their teammates from the main side of the map. Fresh taking a couple of shots there from the Ana. Now Deadeye from JML knows where everybody is, finds a lot of damage into Fatal Turtle, but very lucky that no kills from that Deadeye were invested, and the Death Blossom finds a lot of damage, but nothing as the sleep helps to take down the Reaper. Now we see the Pulse Bomb out onto Fresh. No roll is going to be able to save that with the Nano Boost applied, and Deadeye decides it's their turn to go absolutely ballistic, though. No recall means that they have to get that health pack. The sleep on the Fatal Turtle will spell the end of this round. It would appear we've seen the clutch before for this Death Blossom team, and it still could be in the cards. I am very happy to be wrong about that, but Minefield taking down Fresh is going to be the official end of that chapter. We're going to Garden to decide Lijiang Tower.
Truthfully, I'm just kind of baffled, right? Don't get me wrong, Death Blossom, they earn a round win there, but it feels less like a Death Blossom, round win and more like Falcons were just so disorganized. Like, obviously Mr. Joker going in completely alone with that Death Blossom, no follow-up of any kind can reach those back alleys, and trying to make a hero play like that, it just will not work against these more coordinated teams. But also just like the sort of lack of, focus onto a single target, right? There was a lot of space being generated by the Wrecking Ball that they really couldn't answer for. Now we're seeing some more switch-ups once again. The Symmetras are teleporting people out of spawn, and it seems like for at least Falcons are going to keep on the Sim and the Diva now to try to match maybe some of the speed that this Wrecking Ball has to offer.
Well, more spin to win as Daddy OKC has another pillar to work around. Waiting to go back in for that cooldown to end. Now going to slam it down. That's a lot of damage, but... Deadeye? You have a recall, bud! Goes and meets with the Koi Fish. Fresh on the objective with the team now. Going to find a little bit more of that poke. Jimbo does actually get dropped by the biotic grenade of Wabi Sabi. And surely they want to go back in here. Okay, the Sim turrets are annoying. Okay, sees the low players, has the Minefield ready to go. Wabi Sabi comes in for another kill, and that will put Death Blossom in control.
Yeah, and again, it just feels like this lack of organization coming out from Falcons, right? They're sort of just simply, they corralled themselves into a position on point where they just had to wait to die, pretty much. Like, the nades were coming in, the Wrecking Ball could continuously roll through, there was no real pressure or presence that sort of forced anybody out. So now Death Blossom, heading into this next fight, has a massive advantage in the ult economy, despite Falcons, getting the early cap and assumed advantage.
Well, there is the Minefield being broken up by Kira Wolf. The Sojourn getting some good healing there. Fresh able to weather the focus of Daddy OKC. JML sliding away, has the overclock ready to go. Another slam going to come down. Nano boost onto Wabi Sabi and Daddy OKC. We'll see if anything comes out of that. But it's actually JML that opens up this fight with the kill onto Mr. Joker. Now Deadeye flanking over the pond. A lot of damage into Fresh. They're trying to track down this kill. They can't seem to pin it down the Sojourn. So now as the Fade actually comes through, Daddy OKC on the objective, needing to slam down the self-destruct. Ooh, JML very lucky that that slide did not go just a little bit further. Still has the overclock ready to go, should they so choose, and they will so choose. Gonna find a couple of shots, causing the orbital ray to be thrown in as well. Sound barrier from Rai, and the slam comes down. Coalescence from Kira Wolf for the second time in this fight. That's how long it's been. Minefield at the front of the objective. All three of those ultimates in quick succession, and still no kills, but BGSU are biting themselves in, or shooting themselves in the foot, rather, as, I mean, Fresh also goes off the map.
Yeah.
And that's just game.
Yeah, you're just kind of on a stall. The picks are going to come through. JML's going to get a almost 5k. Deadeye just has to steal it at the very end there, and that's just sort of the map. It feels confusing because, again, Death Blossom, I'm going to be honest, they weren't generating the highest value possible with their composition, but their opponent kind of just let them play the game for free. They just kind of got to do whatever they wanted, and a player like JML, given the opportunity, is going to hit these shots time and again. Like, look at that, just a 2-tap onto a coalescing Moira. It's absolutely what you love to see. But heading forward, Falcons, maybe with the map choice being in their corner now, maybe they could take us somewhere where they could show a little bit more of, something with a little more comfort, a little more their style. But like overall, that was just confusing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, a great start, clutch fights there on Night Market. But I mean that win also didn't come from the virtue of the team play on BGSU. That was just incredible jobs coming in and keeping the fight going. But for now, we will wait just a couple of minutes for BGSU's map selection. We will get to the bands. We're going to take a break for a couple of minutes. When we get back, we'll see if BGSU can put it together. All right, welcome back, everybody. Apologize for that. I was sick. I forgot to get water too, so I was dying because there were some spectacularly long fights in that first map, Mega. So now, as we get ready to head into map number 2, do we know the map? It's gonna be Surabasa. Okay. So not really that surprising, considering what we saw BGSU wants to run most of the time. But Mega, what are you thinking about the pick in regards to how Death Blossom are gonna roll with it?
I mean, Survasa, like, obviously, this indicates Russian Brawl. Or it should indicate, rather. there's still completely an opportunity to run the Wrecking Ball and just sort of, poke and prod at Falcons, be like, hey, let's see how far we can get with this Wrecking Ball, because obviously now we see the ban come through as well. It was a Tracer ban, not a Wrecking Ball target, which leaves, our favorite hamster rodent to run free. But I wouldn't be surprised as well to see Death Blossom maybe try to run some variant of the Brawl themselves. It's not like they're uncommon to the composition or anything of that nature. If they are doing it, though, it will be without a Juno, which means you're going to be substituting Lucio in that speed spot, which, if I recall correctly, Death Blossom was already playing the Lucio, so this completely benefits them. It's sort of Falcons who now has to potentially be the ones to adapt without Juno in their midst. And again, it's one of those things where whoever your main support player is should be able to play between both Juno and Lucio and be sort of flip-flop back and forth. But again, there's no guarantees, right? Some players just are more comfortable on one hero versus the other here, and we just have to, wait and see. But if we do see the Wrecking Ball, I think it's going to get very interesting very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, and it's obvious what BGSU is going for, because they kind of had Deadeye breathing down their necks that entire first map after, the first round. So trying to keep that flex DPS off their backs for the moment. Just going to go over to the Genji instead as we get ready to head into Suravasa. BGSU, it's a very real possibility that they actually wanted to run the Junker Queen on map number 1, and Death Blossom knew that and banned that early. Even if that's not the case, right? Junker Queen exceptionally strong still here on Suravasa. A lot of straight lines on this map for Junker Queen to just run in, right? So we're going to head in here to Market for our the fight might be over before it even got to start, as Deadeye finds the kill there on to Fresh so quickly, who's instantly going to swap to the Cassidy, and the rest of the team going to turn tail.
Yeah, and Death Blossom, while not necessarily, getting to ban Junker Queen a second time, have effectively done it with their composition. Genji, Pharah, Ball, Lucio, Kira, none of these characters are ideal for a Junker Queen to try to run down, farm, life back with the Carnage Axe Swings, and now getting stuck outside potentially into this Pharah spam. JML already has a barrage online.
Yeah, and I mean, Daddy OKC just lining these players up for their Pharah, putting them in positions they don't really want to be in. Now we're going to see the commanding shout coming out of Fatal Turtle, but JML just going to hunt them down with that moving rocket barrage. And JML has turned it up a little bit as opposed to map number 1.
I mean, yeah, turning it up is certainly, the minimum statement to be had here. And again, they just look comfortable on this ball composition. They're playing fast. They're getting to do spam poke, and Falcons is just sort of letting them, right? They're sort of corralling themselves, grouping up together, and not really, trying to move in a fast way, just taking their time on these engages, and it's leading to these mistakes.
There's not even going to be another touch here for Market, but there will be an investment. Kira Wolf popping the Coalescence and going down in the meantime. We're going to be heading over to another point at some, time in the future. But it looks like Death Blossom are just more than happy to try and farm these late kills here on the first objective.
Yeah, just more than happy to continue getting these staggered kills, as it seems.
Do either team know that the objective's unlocked? Well,
listen, it's gonna lock into
it.
Yeah. Here you go.
Okay.
Death Blossoms are moving on over. It is Palace, as we saw from our observer, potentially breaking every key on their controller. We'll have to sort of check on that after. But yeah, now it's just, again, more of the same. Death Blossom continuing to up the tempo, and Falcons, not finding a way to really stop the pace of the game.
All right, well, that's an excellent job there to start this fight. Headshot onto JML. Deadeye's Dragon Blade not going to find much but damage. Fatal Turtle just looked like even with all that healing that was going in and no healing was actually being applied. And I mean, without their tank, there really is nothing for BGSU to rely on, and they're already past the half century.
Already past it, and it's going from bad to worse right now. You have Death Blossom, again, just sort of keeping their foot on the gas and just doing what they do best, which is just running people down with this Wrecking Ball. Now another barrage in JML favors here, although it does have to contend with a Dragon Blade.
Okay, well, Rai going down here early is a good thing indeed for BGSU as the Dragon Blade is pulled. Not going to find much with it as overtime begins, but it does look like the dominoes are finally starting to fall into place here for BGSU, and it only cost them the blade.
Again, like, it's so baffling watching these fights because it's realistically only 1 to 2 picks that are happening either way before the rest of the team's like, yeah, no, we're just giving up, we're out. But it's like traded picks to where you could keep fighting, but Death Blossom maybe feeling they have a better entry now that the Minefield's back online.
All right, and immediately, I mean, the fight is over before BGSU even knows it has started again here as Wabi Sabi cleans up one more overtime. Wick begins to burn once again, and it's going to be a 2-0 here on the Suravasa as we head right back to the middle to fight.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and see if we can get some more kills. Everybody incredibly low on Falcon side, but the Rampage!
I mean, that could help to take down Daddy OKC, but it won't. They're not able to catch up to the Wrecking Ball, who is, I don't know if you know this, Mega, very, very quick to get away from those sticky situations. As the slam going to come down from said hamster. Dragon Blade pulled by Deadeye. Not going to find a whole lot into the sound barrier of Jimbo. The Coalescence will also fade away into obscurity for Kira Wolf. The only ultimate being left online. A great boot from Jimbo to knock Daddy OKC into the water. And finally, they're able to get Death Blossom off their case.
Yeah, and this could be the opening that they're looking for, right? I think one thing is we've been spectating Daddy OKC and Deadeye so much here that you kind of forget about JML, who's held this barrage for quite a while now. But clearly, Falcons is putting the pressure onto this bar and not allowing them to do as they want. That's why JML isn't just cleanly ripping it, but this could be the moment here.
Yep. Now we're going to see the tactical visor, and I mean, you know that Pharaoh's going to be in the sky. You've got to look up, and Fresh is punished for that mistake. 2 on the rocket barrage for JML, and a team kill for Death Blossom.
Team kill, the gong rings out here, and so now Death Blossom, you know, to be fair, we kind of reset ult banks on either side here. The closest is going to be Mr. Joker coming up with a blade. But now missing a Diva mech means that Falcons have to take even longer before their next fight can start.
But the Wolf is going to come back again, and my god, it's so much more damage than you think it is. I mean, Deadeye just comes in and dices everybody to bits.
I think it's just ridiculous. Like, Daddy OKC is literally building a minefield. It feels like, unironically, every 45 seconds. I don't have the exact stats, obviously, but with how crazy that it's been so far, this Wrecking Ball is just getting insane amounts of value, and Falcons are just not deterring it. They're grouping up. They're sort of inviting these 5-man slams every single time, and it's just such a baffling way to play the game when you don't have to be grouped at all times.
Yeah, well, overtime begins here on the Garden for the map. Dragon Blade is pulled, but Fatal Turtle is dead out of the fight. And I mean, that is just an unfortunate place to be in for Mr. Joker. Nothing to swing that blade at. The team kill comes through once more for Death Blossom. And I mean, another rocket barrage right before the end of the map for JML. Death Blossom showing why they're in the top half of this bracket for certain.
Yeah, and again, they were just able to force their Wrecking Ball style even on a Brawl-esque map here. they just simply piloted it because they realized that they were going to be able to get away with it. It's Falcons. They're making it so warm and inviting. It's like like a giant plate of cookies during the holidays. It's just so, sitting there completely free. Why would you not go for these 5-man slants over and over? There's nothing deterring you. There's nothing stopping you. Not an anti, a sleep, a stun of any kind. It is just a wrecking ball getting to play the game pretty much for free. And don't get me wrong, Daddy OKC is having good minefields, but it's not like this is some out of this world wrecking ball play. It's just a wrecking ball going unpunished.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit, right? What we thought, or what I thought BGSU would have, is synergy. I haven't seen it, unfortunately, for the Falcons here today. I mean, it's kind of the outcome that most people probably expected. I kind of expected a little bit more of what we saw on that first submap of Lijiang, right? A little bit more fight. So hopefully, as we head into our, actually regularly scheduled break here, BGSU is gonna have some time to think about what they want to properly do, right? Because that was rough. And I would like to see, a little bit more of that ice, that clutch that we saw on Night Market. So we are going to head to that quick break. When we come back, it'll be BGSU's map selection one more time.
Lots of love. Lots of love. Love. Got lots of love. Love.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Right now, Death Blossom, for lack of a better term, are on a roll. Um, excuse the pun or don't. I don't really care. Um, they're kind of dominating right now. After losing that first submap on Lijiang Tower, they kind of picked up speed and never looked back. So now, as I assume, go ahead and head into what looks to be King's Row. Um, I I don't know what BGSU needs to change, because Death Blossom managed to expose what was generally a very strong rush composition on a very strong rush map with a Wrecking Ball comp.
What they need to change is that the issue is they are genuinely, it's like I'm watching like tiny ducks herd themselves together in the middle of the street where there's traffic going by. Like the car is going to show up. You gotta stop hoarding yourselves together and then waiting. There has to be some level of agency where you go forward and you're like, okay, we're gonna go first, because if you let the Wrecking Ball go first every single time, it's going to be a problem. Granted, won't be a problem this map. Wrecking Ball's out of the pool. He's gone, sent to Brazil. And it means Death Blossom are now going to retaliate with a May ban. You haven't really seen a lot of the May anyway, so I guess this sort of means they're expecting a Brawl Mirror and potentially their tank doesn't fare well against Mays normally. That's kind of the read I'm getting from Death Blossom here, but again, it's sort of a wait-and-see situation to see now that Death Blossom's main tank has been banned, what they're going to end up playing.
I struggle to see a world in which we don't see some variation of rush at this point. Because even if you want to run another variation of dive, there's not really the Wrecking Ball dive comps that we've seen out of Death Blossom are not really comparable to something like a Winston or a Diva, right? Wrecking Ball's whole deal is to get in and get out as fast as possible, taking as little time for giving the opponent as little time to act as possible. So I think that it's probably going to end up being that Death Blossom, especially on King's Row, where it's already fairly popular. I imagine we're going to see some kind of rush. Having said that, I know that it wouldn't surprise me to see something else we'll call unique.
Yeah, but you know, it's King's Row though. Like, surely this means they play Rush, right? Surely this doesn't mean that we play Winston and jump the high grounds or some goofy stuff. I was gonna say a word I'm not allowed to. Anyway, we're in the subways here. We're simply waiting to see what these teams are on. It is.
Give me that $5. Give me the $5, Megalas.
Your Honor, if you revisit what you said, it was, and I quote, that you were betting to see a Reinhardt. Nobody ever accepted that there would not be a Reinhardt. Nobody ever put stakes
you
on
said that to put the money in your bank account. Now give it to me.
All right, yeah, I got you. I'll send you the 5 along with a very heartfelt letter, I'm sure.
I can't wait to see it. But it is gonna be Winston. I wholeheartedly was wrong about what BGSU was planning. They're gonna play Winston.
The team that plays Wrecking Ball also is going to play Winston because they're just more comfortable. Who could have seen this coming? Now, if Fresh gets first off, Fresh's whole thing of hiding here is given away by the fact his Mercy is just toggling the damage beam directly in front of the window. Want to point that one out. But the Widow and the Mercy have left spawn, so I now have to root against Falcons purely for the fact of Mercy gameplay.
Yep. Okay, well, I didn't quite see a Fresh up there. Not gonna get away with a whole lot as the back down to point comes through from Daddy OKC. BGSU almost losing out on their Genji as Deadeye with the turret and the spam up on towards the high ground. Fatal Turtle now going to dive into the background, going to avoid the sleep very, very nicely, and a little bit over kill on that jump, does able to get rid of Wabi Sabi, but without Fatal Turtle to keep the... Oh, well, I guess Fatal Turtle remains in the fight, but stuck in the back line here. Yeah, going to get turned into a smoldering pile of lava.
A smoldering pile indeed here, as, you know, you can jump around all that you want, but unfortunately, you know, the Reinhardt is just going to exist. The fire strikes will be chucked and things like that. That is a good start, though, for Falcons. It's just, oh, massive shatter.
Hey, well, yeah, big shatter, and even with JML going down, the swings from Daddy OKC are immaculate. They bring back barbecue chicken, but Fatal Turtle getting pinned there into the back line makes that res essentially null and void.
Yeah, null and void is certainly the way to go about it. To have an opening pick like that and not really be able to result in a point cap is truly a tragedy, because now Death Blossom, look at this, both support ults in the bank here, Kitsune or a Nano. Just to look at this again. It's what was sort of lacking from the Junker Queen from BGSU, is the Rhine is actually chasing people down and sort of creating space.
Well, here is the Nano Boost onto Daddy OKC. Unfortunately, not quite fast enough without that pin to get into the faces of anybody else. Fatal Turtle popping that Primal Rage, throwing the Reinhardt around, but even with that extra 700 HP, Fatal Turtle gets pulled back in the backline, taken down again, and only 80 seconds left.
To be fair, trading Valkyrie and Primal for Kitsune and Nano, that's generally a valuable trade, I feel, because you now have your own Kitsune to walk in here, and you have either a Blade or an Overclock to combo it if you wait a few more seconds.
Oh my goodness.
Might be even more than a few seconds. No!
Okay, so that was an Earth Shatter, for sure. A little bit overzealous on it. Just a bit, just a smidge. Daddy OKC close to losing out on that shield, but Fatal Turtle is dead. Was dead. Now, pinning that Reinhardt back to the wall. Dragon Blade in the hands of Mr. Joker. Could be going in with this nano, or this, damage.
JML just told him to sit down. JML has actually sat him down like a proper lad. Oh, that's a tragedy and a half.
Goodness. Yeah, so now Daddy OKC is just kind of holding M1 menacingly right now.
I mean, yeah, and so now we're heading towards final fight. It's Fresh's OC. Maybe it's Fresh's turn to pop off. Has a lot of space to do it up on this high ground, but unfortunately, everybody just sort of playing around the angles well makes it very hard, and another Nano on the Rhine could be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah. Daddy OKC turning their attention towards the Orisa. Has the pin ready to go, as we're going to see the Kitsune Rush thrown down in response to the Kira Wolf. Okay, nice shot there from Fresh. Assisted by Mr. Joker, who then ends up getting a Torbjorn fist to the jaw. Daddy OKC pinning into the backline, somehow missing out on the pin onto Fresh, who is not quite able to get away that time. And
Piercing hide off the point, but the terror surge wasn't on the point!
Fatal.
Oh, brother!
Okay,
You were winning the
to be
fight.
fair, no, they weren't.
Yes, they were!
They lost
have,
out
like,
on
2
Fresh.
picks. They have like 2 picks. Okay, realistically, possible that they were going to lose that fight anyway. They still, like you said, there's a Molten Core on point. There was other things going on. But, that hurts.
That hurts. I mean, they had a chance for sure.
I mean, they technically do still. 77.6% held
Yeah,
on first. That's
sure.
2 ticks.
That's a
That's
win
like
score.
just over... That's over 2 ticks. You can give 2 ticks and still, hold on for dear life. That being said,
Yeah.
I think if I see JML get a single headshot on this spawn Widowmaker, if I'm Falcons, I'm going to just start looking at the lower bracket.
Yeah, I mean, infused onion there on the Mercy. This time going to be assisting their Widowmaker. I mean, I feel like the only guarantees here are that Daddy OKC and Wabi Sabi walk out on the heroes that they're on. I would be entirely surprised if the full commit to this composition is JML. Nah, okay, gonna find a headshot, gonna take a lot of damage there from Fatal Turtle. TP up onto the high ground by Deadeye, so that is something that came out of spawn. Deadeye and Daddy OKC just spamming JML, switching over to the Pharah here, as they just wait for the pressure to come in from the backside.
Yeah. And now they've just sort of been encircling, taking space, and now they drop on a point. You know, it's a perfect storm.
Yeah, perfect execution there, playing patiently. They don't need to do anything if BGSU is just going to give them all of the space in the world, which they really have here. A sleep out on to Daddy OKC, who's going to find a lot more damage with another fire strike or two, going to find the pin into the backline, putting Mr. Joker against the wall there. Spam from the Pharah going to likely lock this one down. Death Blossom managed to get to the oh so coveted 77% there on Kings Row, taking the series very, very easily.
I mean, yeah, there just is not a lot else to say beyond that, really. It was just I wouldn't say dominant performance, because again, there were just moments that it felt like Death Blossom was sort of just lackadaisically walking around in the match, where they just were like, oh, you know, we're just gonna do this, it's fine. And Falcons, again, you know, Falcons came in with a full head of steam, took the first round, and then just absolutely, you know, they just lost it immediately. So it's a little bit of a tragedy, but, you know, they still have lower bracket to contend with. And yeah, that's really all that needs to be said there.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't perfect, but, you know, the map score really does speak for itself. Had one really, really good round out of BGSU on Lijiang Tower that they couldn't really replicate throughout the rest of the series, unfortunately. So they do fall here to the lower bracket. And by the way, thanks Leg Day for the raid. That's cool. Thanks, man.
What's up, Leg Day?
But so now, as we get ready to head to a short break, we will see what Wabi Sabi has got to say about this series, and how they're feeling moving forward in this bracket. All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got Wabi Sabi here of Death Blossom to walk us through the thoughts about this match. Wabi Sabi, we kind of talked about it a little bit during the break. What are your thoughts about how this game progressed?
Well, it just kind of explains itself. I mean, I had a good time. Most of the time, I'm just sitting in the back line. I really wasn't touched. It was just a kind of chill game. I enjoyed it. It's kind of funny, too. Our comms in the server were great and funny.
Hey, listen, those funny comms, those chill moments are sometimes what we live for when we're playing. It's much better than the high stakes matches. But speaking of those high stakes, they are fast approaching. You now have yourselves a
So true.
winner semifinal matchup up against Lunar Eclipse. This is not a team that has taken you down. You've only fallen to Cuddle Puddle and Solar Eclipse. So, do you feel confident going into this one, or is this maybe something that you feel like you're going to have to prep for a lot more?
Oh, 100% I'm confident. Like, Tool is a great coach. I enjoy it when I was with my other team and he was our coach. I think we got this. I 100% believe that we have this in the bag. Full confidence.
That's fair. It was Vert that said that was it's Tool's birthday today, right? Is that something
yes,
that's
it is. Him and Flat
Yeah.
share a birthday today. It's pretty cool. He has the best birthday ever.
Him and who?
Flats, Overwatch.
Oh.
the streamer.
Oh, Flats. I thought you
Yeah.
said Fletch. And I was gonna say
No.
Fletch.
I
Why
was
wouldn't
like-
you tell me
I
it's
was
your
like-
birthday?
No,
No,
my birthday's not for 8 months.
Mine's at the end of the month, so get close.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't share my birthday with anyone cool.
I share my birthday with a Yari
With the
and
Yari.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Hey.
Okay, so I got one more question before we get your shout outs. Happened on that first round of Lijiang Tower. Y'all switched off of the goofy comp, and for some reason BGSU just would not let go. Could you give me some insight into what maybe went wrong on that round?
Well, honestly, that was just like a troll pick. We just were picking random characters, and he's like, what's some funny characters we could go? Junkrat, Life Weaver, Roadhog. And we're like, oh yeah, we might be able to clutch this. And then it just didn't work because we didn't kill anything. So we're like, all right, we gotta switch now. Like, we have to take this a little more serious instead of just trolling. It was fun. I mean, we may have lost that first round, but like, it was fun to come out in Life Weaver and be like, oh, so this ain't gonna work, Chief.
All right. Well, thank you, Wabi-Sabi. Again, congratulations on the win. Is there anybody that you would like to shout out here before we send you away?
See, I have my boy Jack. He's a Junkrat main. He's a pretty cool guy. I mean, that's all I could think of. I mean, my boyfriend, because I bet he's watching the stream. That's pretty much it. That's all I could think of.
All right,
Thanks for
shouts out
having
Jack.
me on. Yeah,
Nice
Jack
job,
of
Jack.
No Trades. Woo!
Nice job, Jack. Well, Wabi-Sabi, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, Mega. Well, that was certainly a match of Overwatch there.
3 maps of Overwatch did get played.
They were played. They were finished. No draws. Full price. We had to pay for that. But hey, Death Blossom moves on, I guess.
Yeah, they move on. And again, loser bracket there now for BGSU Falcons. You're still in it. Get maybe just an off night, get some recuperation, take this loss, learn from it, and get ready into the next one. But actually, speaking of, Overwatch and matches, this isn't the only match tonight, Fletch.
Yeah. Also, next ones, because in about 2 hours' time, or 1 hour, we're gonna have Retirement Home versus Team Can't Climb here in the NA side. Obviously, that game this afternoon. A little bit closer on the EU side than this one. Hopefully, Retirement Team Can't Climb can provide a little bit more substance. But you know what? You'll have to wait until 10 o'clock to see that one. But Mega, I know you are getting ready for a match of your own. So is there anything else you want to say before we head out?
They're actually in map 1 right now, and I'm about to watch Headrammer die, so it's really funny.
All right, fair enough. Well, go watch Headrammer die, and then I guess go win or something. I don't really know. But that will do it here for us tonight. We will be back later with Retirement Home Team Can't Climb. Thank you all for watching, and we will see y'all in the next one.